All right. Welcome to This Week in Campus Recreation, or whatever the title we decide to come up with. You had an idea. What are you thinking, Clay?
Conversations at elevation.
I like it. I think the people will like it. Welcome to Conversations at Elevation. I'm your host, Jay, joined by my favorite co-host, my office mate, Clayton. How you doing?
I'm doing all right today, Jay. How are you doing?
Can't complain. Cannot complain.
Gotta love the nice warm weather in Lairdice after snowed on Tuesday. So
Hey, high 73 one of these days, so
hey, there you go.
Can't wait.
On the positive side, it's not supposed to get back above 80, so that's nice for me. But I've got the beanie on because the ears aren't really too cold, but the head is cold. So
Yeah. So go ahead.
So today, for everyone listening, we have one of our favorite guys from Student Affairs and from the University Counseling Center, Julio Brionez. Julio is a guy that we have worked with in the past with student training for our staff and different student leadership activities and events that we work with the UCC on. He's always a pleasure to talk to and converse with and collaborate with. So I hope everyone enjoys this conversation.
Yeah, it's probably one of the more powerful and actual meaningful conversations I've had during COVID, and he was so willing to share, and I think that was absolutely amazing.
The conversation that we're going to have with you guys today is a very important conversation that I feel like needs to be had right now, and it is a very fun conversation because we keep it light and open with Julio. So, with that being said, let's get into it.
I think becoming a psychologist helps, and having like a doctor in front of my name helps. Those types of things sometimes usually help. So hopefully that answered your question, but I'm embracing it more and more.
Yeah. You kind of touched on it. You're a licensed psychologist. Have you always wanted to be a psychologist, or was that something you just kind of grew into and became more passionate about as you experienced life?
Mm-hmm. The second. That's not something that I came out of high school with. I was really into information technology and computer security when I got out of high school. And then I started to volunteer for a hotline in California, which really got my interest into mental health advocacy and mental health crisis work. So I say I grew into being a psychologist and learning more about psychology. I did AmeriCorps in between undergrad and grad school. And so that taught me a lot about mental health advocacy and some of the improper treatment that people with mental health issues deal with. So one of my heroes, I guess, is a man named Clifford Beers. He was in a mental health institution. He's no longer alive, but he was in a mental health institution back in the old days when they were like asylums. So he did a lot of work to destigmatize mental health care and also take away some of the more old school, I guess is the word, treatment of mental health people, like unchaining from walls and things like that, and being more about outpatient work and less about being confined into inpatient non-voluntary spaces. This is what he really advocated for. So I learned a lot about that and a lot of the stigma that comes with mental health and a lot of the danger that you can get into having a mental health disorder or not being properly treated. A lot of the homelessness problems in San Francisco, because there's a large homeless population in San Francisco, and a lot of those folks have either diagnosed or undiagnosed substance abuse and mental health disorders. Plus, they're untreated, so it makes it very difficult to maintain a stable job like we have. To think relatively stably is challenging for some folks, especially without medication. So it makes it much harder, and then my sensitivity for that, and plus my connection with them through the hotline really got my interest in mental health. And then, as you follow that more, the more you get into counseling, psychotherapy, and then psychology, and that's where I found my place where I can make the most impact is doing clinical work.
Awesome. Yeah, I think when you hear psychologists, there's always a little stigma that they're always either trying to judge you, or judge something. And I think working with you, and then I have family that are psychologists, is really like for me to be able to like destigmatize that profession. That hey, they're not just always judging me; they're looking out for my best interest, and they're generally like the most caring people that I've met throughout my time. Because they look past like some of those little uh, negatives about everybody. But I think you and everyone at the UCC is doing a really good job of destigmatizing that profession. So on to our next question. So you work with the UCC as, and I believe your official title is the outreach coordinator, correct?
Yes.
The student body, which Jay and I know is college students are a different breed sometimes. So what is your favorite thing about working with the students? Um, if you can just go into it on that.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so like it's really interesting because I graduated undergrad in '09. So that was 11 years ago. So much has changed since then. Uh, but developmentally, what I really dig about college students, for the most part, most students are between that 18 to 25-year-old range, and that's a great place. That middle development, young adulthood, or whatever you want to call it, is to take what you've learned from all of your childhood experiences, your adolescence, and mold yourself into a functioning adult, a really useful adult, a adult that has a lot of value or values that they want to live according to. So I think that's what makes that middle adulthood spot so useful and what college students really connect with. And I like to think that most students uh, are well. I mean, right now it's very challenging for students. I think that Gen Z has that unique opportunity to have so much access to so much information, but that information right now is usually pretty bad. I mean, everything that you see and hear is really rough. So I think their ability to see all that and keep going just shows how resilient of a group they are, and to invest their time and money into a college degree shows they have a great deal of hope, or at least puts them in a position to have a great deal of hope about how they can change things for the future. And that hope, once you capture it and use it in an effective way, either professionally, socially, but always ethically, makes them a really great group of people to be able to make positive change and positive stability for the environment in Wyoming and wherever else they want to live. I know that we border Colorado, and a lot of people, when they get educated here and move that way, I wish a lot more young adults would stay in the area and improve Wyoming and make us a more uh, wealthy state as far as not just monetarily, but socially and also personally.
I think those are all like, I think with anyone that's kind of in our field, like that's really kind of what we want. We want to make sure that the students that we're interacting with and grooming, for lack of a better term, educating really, is that they go out to the world and they make the communities that they are currently in better places, or the communities that they're going back to
Yeah,
better places.
totally. And thanks, Clayton, for saying that about psychologists. I like to think that we're an okay breed of folks. uh, yeah, and then Jay, you're right. What the two of you do is so important because you're not just shaping minds uh, in the classroom, but you're also shaping minds out in the field. Not just the sports field, but also the professional field too. And a lot of things that each of you can do as coaches is really showing a strong model of um, professional and civil males, which is such a big deal. So please keep it up.
We try. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, keep doing both.
how does your job as an outreach coordinator allow you to do what you're passionate about?
Well, typically it's more like larger group presentation and thing. Uh, but I really dig right now, like to be able to do like this interview, for example, or do other things for the university as far as put videos out and stuff. That kind of outreach content is so easily accessible. People can just click on the link and get to it. They don't have to travel a whole lot of ways. So in that respect, I like it. The things that I don't really dig right now are because of the COVID closures and things. We don't have as much one-to-one contact. Being able to talk in a room full of people, I miss that a lot. But there's lots of ways to do outreach. You can do outreach by video, through audio, making cards, whatever it is you can do. And what I'm passionate about is giving people the opportunity to improve things that they don't necessarily feel like our strengths right now. Be able to connect with people in a one-to-one basis using language we can all understand about promoting hope, promoting strength, and promoting resilience. We can be a very resilient people when we recognize that sometimes our mental health concerns or issues or whatever or what have you are just our way to survive. Once we learn how to survive and survive well, we can develop other habits that can make us more productive adults and more passionate adults. And doing outreach is I'm able to convey those messages in a public space. When you do therapy, it's for the most part confidential. So it's what happens in the room stays there for the most part. And ideally, folks get better and they can talk about those changes with their friends. But outreach removes some of those barriers because you get to have more contact with more people at once, and it makes it very helpful. So the ones I've enjoyed the most are working with. I helped the MRC, the Multicultural Resource Center, do the Student of Color Support Circle last semester. Hopefully, we'll be able to do it again. And we've been able to work with Greek Life, with the fraternities and sororities, really promoting mental health and mental health treatment in those groups. So lots of high impact groups and things. So I really dig the outreach piece and want to promote mental health care on and off campus as much as I can, just because there's resources here. We're pretty lucky to live in Albany County, Laramie, because we have a lot of clinicians in this area. You get to smaller places like Rock Springs, like Buffalo, there's not as much. So that's one of the challenges to get people care. So outreach is really fun. As a coordinator, I get to do a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like what you're doing with outreach, and then it also like destigmatizes again, like going to a psychologist is not a bad thing. You're not showing weakness, especially among, I feel like, men, especially. Like, hey, going into that field is, I would sure it was a tough decision for you, but then like outside going to a psychology, there is for whatever reason like, oh, we don't talk about our feelings, and I feel like people like you and everyone at the UCC is really saying, hey, like it's not a sign of weakness. Like everyone just needs help. It's just like going to an athletic trainer to get something taped up, and just a different way of wellness, that more mental aspect, which for whatever reason everyone, unfortunately, it does. I feel like fall more on men and males, that we don't want to go out and ask for help, which with what you're program and hitting those high impact groups is really helping for the future of University of Wyoming and the future of just everyone.
Fingers crossed. It's possible to talk about emotions and still be a masculine guy. And yeah, there's tough people get therapy. Lots of vets get therapy. Lots of professional athletes get therapy. Name any kind of profession, those folks have had some kind of mental health connection. One of the most powerful demonstrations of emotional connection wasn't in a therapy session at all. But there's this show on TNT, I'm not sure if it's still on or not, but with Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley, Kenny the Jet Smith, and I forgot the other person's name.
Ernie Johnson?
Ernie the Elevator Johnson, yes. So this is shortly after Kobe passed. Kobe Bryant, when he passed away, he and his daughter and other folks in that plane crash. Anyway, they were talking about emotional pain, and Shaquille O'Neal was talking about the loss of his sister, now the loss of Kobe, and I think it was the loss of his father or one of his parents, and just showing that raw emotion. It really, if you ever watch it, I'm sure it's still on YouTube somewhere. That kind of emotional expression with another trusted male or someone close to you, that is essentially what therapy does. It enables you to share and process what that emotion is like. And if counseling isn't your thing, like therapy isn't your thing, cool, like fine. Find someone that you trust to share those personal things with, and there's going to be a benefit to it. And very much like you're talking about, Clayton, it's no different than going to the doctor and getting your arm put in a splint, or getting your legs taped up, or whatever it is. It's just another injury that you want to heal from and build from. And if you, for example, break your finger, you never get treated. It'll probably reshape, but it'll probably reshape odd and make your life more difficult in the future. Same thing with mental health. I mean, you can get through a lot, but you want to get through it the best way you can, so you can live the best life you can, and that's the whole thing.
You talk about like the Clay makes the great example of treating like it's any other injury. You talk about like make sure you're the best version of yourself. Why do you think so many? Why do you think it's so stigmatized and so like? And it may not just be like in the obviously it's really prevalent in the male community, but like in general, like in certain homes in certain areas of the country. Why do you think this discussion of mental health is so hit or miss or you know?
Yeah. The first thing I can tell you is that, and I don't know if this is a USA thing. I have no idea if it's Wyoming. I have no idea if people in Afghanistan or Iran or Iraq feel the same way or not. But people like to avoid. It feels good to avoid. It feels good to like get out of a situation where you don't have to expose your vulnerabilities or things that you feel like are quote unquote weak. Uh, and a lot of therapy is talking about things that we don't talk about with anyone else. A lot of therapy is talking about things that we would rather not think about. And so it can create a lot of fear and anxiety and nervousness and anger. Uh, and if we don't process that, it just goes in indirectly, goes inside. And then once it goes inside, it can become depression. It could become something more anxiety provoking, and then it leads to things that are more acceptable, like going out drinking with your buddies. If you're doing it for fun, like cool, like do your thing. But if you're doing it to avoid, then it's no longer a useful thing. However, it's easier to go out and get drunk than it is to talk to someone that is, for all intents and purposes, a stranger in the beginning about your deepest, darkest, or it didn't have to be that deep, secret. Um, so I think it's easier to avoid than it is to talk about what's true and vulnerable, and that's why I think it's so prevalent. And we I don't know if this is still true or not, but I mean a lot of media and things like that they show men doing things to work out their stuff physically. You see like old movies like Lethal Weapon, like Pulp Fiction and things. People deal with things through violence and through a lot of aggressive conversation. Then you see movies like Good Will Hunting, which you see the conversation actually be useful. And make it more of a personal thing. But those are very few and far between. Most movies and most media is about action. It's about violence, and and it can be very easy to consume those things and then wonder why men don't talk about stuff because they don't see anyone talk about stuff. Uh, Expressions like like Shaq did on that interview, things like uh, seeing movies like Good Will Hunting, they're few and far between. And the other part is they don't really feature a lot of people of color either. Most movies that, at least up until now, it's a bit different, but a lot of movies with black actors, with Latinx actors, they're about violence. I mean, Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, it's all about ways to solve things with violence. And so there's not a whole lot of movies about black psychologists. There's not a whole lot of movies about Latinx psychologists. And or the movies sometimes are tainted in that you see movies like, gosh, what is that movie from like the 90s? I think it was called
Was it Finding Forrester with
something
uh,
like that.
uh, Sean Connery?
Yes. But it's usually there's always racial bias in a lot of these movies, and that they don't show strong black actors, for example, being leaders, showing elements of change. I think there's few. I mean, the one I can remember off the top of my head is like Remember the Titans is one. I think the Washington played this really impactful coach and showed how to how to connect black and white men through sports, through conversation, which is really important stuff. Um, and so I think Coach Carr is another one that's also you can check on too. Um, and then I can't think of other ones right now. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but those are some examples of why it could be more difficult for men because we're taught to learn things through violence and through physical interaction. Not that you can't like use sports as a way to cope with things. You certainly can, but also conversation is really important too. And you see really good coaches do that. You see people like like Bill Belichick, for example. You see coaches uh, have really deep conversations with men that are going to be useful. And I think this year, I don't remember the name of the young man, unfortunately, but I think they just had the first black owner in NFL history just recently. That occurred recently, so I think he's going to be the first one of the black owners of college football to see men in another perspective that they can do deep things like connect with other men.
Yeah, the first black president of a NFL football team, the Washington football team, just hired.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like, even yesterday, I don't know if you saw it, but Dak Prescott, the Cowboys QB, opened up about how his brother or somebody had passed away or had COVID.
It was his brother, and his brother passed away. I think he committed suicide, or he. Is that the right terminology, Julio?
Goma typically uses died by suicide.
He died by suicide.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we're correct on that. He died by suicide, and COVID had started like a month or so after, so it was like back to back things, and he opened up about that and how that impacted him.
Yeah, and then I mean you have an older white gentleman on a prominent NFL like talk show saying, well, how his teammates may not be able to trust him anymore because he was depressed and he opened up and was. And then you see a lot of athletes coming back and in support of Dak for going out and saying it. Mm-hmm. And everything that I saw yesterday on Twitter was Skip Bayless's comment. And then, but right after Skip had his comment, Shannon Sharp, a really good former NFL player, black NFL player, had a great response to it. Like he was not showing weakness. So trying, but unfortunately, with how social media is, you don't really ever see the good stuff. You only see that happen, and so no one really sees Shannon. So that's just like a younger generation that is watching that TV saying, "Well, I might my teammates may not trust me if I open up and say I am depressed." Like, so it's just trying to get over that hurdle of in both social in media and in playing a professional sport. You can be depressed. Like it is, it happens to everyone, or it may happen in different ways. So just trying to end that stigma of being depressed, and it's not a life sentence that if you're depressed one day or one time period that you're forever depressed. No, you can work through it with a psychologist, with a therapist, doing different things.
Yeah, totally. And you're right. And the because you literally aren't depressed forever. You don't have depression forever. You don't have these things forever. And I mean, I think it's easier to say things like that because it gets more clicks, I guess, and I guess that's a part of the deal too. And then Jason Roy, I think is the name of that president of that Washington football team. Yeah. Yes, first black president. And yeah, and then but you know, there's also great coaches like Herm Edwards, for example, is a really great coach. And he talks a lot about the spirit of a man and how that strength can come in many different forms. So that's another great person too. And Ron Rivera is a good one too. I don't think he coaches right now.
He's with the Washington football team.
Is he? Okay, yeah. Yeah, he was pretty well known. I think he coached the Jags for a while, but he was pretty well known to bring his family on and show people, you know, how you can have a really strong family orientation and still be professional. Things like that, because you can't get that from someone who's maybe not involved in sports. That's going to give you a positive and professional way of being. So those are just great examples.
Well, Julio, we thank you so much for coming on here and joining us for about 30 minutes right now.
Yeah, thanks.
What we like to do at the end of these interviews is have our guest send our listeners off into the weekend with some motivation. Yeah. So if you can give us one or two motivational quotes or quotes that you like to use in your daily life to send our listeners off into the weekend.
Yeah, I have two. I say this to my friends all the time: be well and stay well. That's one. And another one, this is not mine. I think that the person is anonymous that said this before. But do your best to be kind because we don't know what battles people are fighting. So do your best to be kind and be kind to yourselves too. And yeah. Well, thanks very much, both of you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you. We couldn't do this without you.
Yeah, take good care, guys.
Awesome. Bye. Man, that's some deep stuff. I thought that was really.
That went really well.
Yeah, I think that this is an important topic, and then talking to the powers that be that kind of greenlit the show. I think that they felt and we felt that it was important in everything going on that this is a conversation that we have. So I'm glad we could have it.
Yeah, especially during the time that we're in right now with such the social and racial justice that we are trying to fight right now. I feel like this was a very important aspect to realize that you're not just always battling physical injustices, but mental injustices and how those injustices and that what you're fighting for are affecting your mind. And it's okay to say you're not okay.
Yeah.
And go and seek help. So yeah, I think it was a very that everyone should be having right now.
Yeah. So we don't have. We're gonna plug some of the events that are happening this weekend in Campus Rec. This weekend, if you follow, if you go to our website, uwyo.edu/rec, click on the outdoor program link. You go register for No Man's Land Film Festival. We register for that. I think that'll be a really great showing. It's women being absolutely awesome and radical outdoors and crushing it. And it's a bunch of films, about an hour and a half of 3 or 4 films.
Yeah, 3 films for sure. I'm not for sure, but yeah, I think they're about 3 30 to 35-minute films, and showing multiple different races. So the outdoors, again, predominantly shown as being something that only white people do. The very first film is a black lady that Hal Garrett, our outdoor program coordinator, prescribed her as someone that you wouldn't look at and says she runs marathons, but she gets out there and kicks butt and runs marathons.
Yeah. So make sure you all go and check that out and sign up for that and show some love to them. We will be live on Twitch next Wednesday.
Pop culture trivia next Wednesday with me.
So I think that'll be absolutely electric.
Oh yeah, the electric factory is coming to town.
Hey, it's an electric topic. It's only right you have an electric factory. Let's go.
Yeah, got it.
Well, thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Clay, for being a part of this. I really look forward. This is a highlight of my week every week.
Yeah, this is in the week. These little interviews and podcasts.
Yeah. So next week we will have Lena Newland from our Wellness Center coming in and kind of talking about the 8 dimensions of wellness and how to be well in the process of how wellness kind of grew into the industry that it is now. So we hope you join us at noon next week with Lena. And thanks for joining us. Have a good one, Clay.
See you, Jay.